Why do so many signs in Singapore have this ++ marker listed after their prices? That is one of the 9 helpful tips I will give you in this video for dealing with money and payment in Singapore. So number 1 then is that tipping is not required in Singapore. Taxi drivers do not expect a tip, but it is nice to round up to the nearest whole number to avoid the driver having to give you coins as change. For restaurants, if it's a nice restaurant where a server comes and takes your order, provides complimentary water and then cleans the table after you leave, a 10% service charge will likely be added to your bill. This is what the ++ means on a menu. Prices that you see do not include the service charge or the sales tax. So sales tax is added as well after the service charge, and sales tax is currently 8%. A restaurant will tell you that it's doing this by either including that ++ symbol or a disclaimer at the bottom of the menu that says they will add service charge and sales tax to your bill. Speaking of settling the bill, the next tip then is to not worry about the size of coins that you receive as change when you pay for something. Singapore has 2 series of coins in circulation. You'll often find that when you get coins as change, they will be a mix of the old series and the new series. I used to feel so disappointed to get a handful of change and realize it was full of the new 20-cent coin rather than the old 50-cent coin. But thanks to inflation, you don't really have to worry about the difference in the 5-cent, the 10-cent, or the 20-cent coin anymore. I feel it's not worth most people's time. As long as the 50-cent and $1 coins are correct, don't sweat the rest of it. Fun fact you probably didn't know, but Brunei dollars are interchangeable with Singapore dollars. That means that you can use Brunei money in Singapore and Singapore money in Brunei. Now, in practice, it's a little harder to do. Some merchants, particularly in Singapore, don't want to accept Brunei money as the next customer likely won't want it as change. So they have to take it to the bank to deposit. In Brunei, they accepted my 10 Singapore dollar note, but not my coins. And in Singapore, after chatting to the taxi driver about it, he accepted my Brunei note and gave me Singapore coins as change. Singapore these days, though, is a very cashless society. So mobile wallets such as Google Pay and Apple Pay can be used in Singapore. And these are especially useful for catching the metro, which I'll go into later in this video. As a tourist, I highly recommend though that you still carry some cash. Many hawker stalls do not accept credit cards or debit cards. They do accept QR code payment, but this is difficult for a short-term visitor to set up. Cash is the easiest solution. Carrying some cash will give you more options for stalls that you can visit. I recommend having about $100 per adult handy whenever you're traveling around Singapore in case you need to spend it. Paying in cash is also a good idea for taxis, which will add an admin fee if you're paying by credit card. My next tip then is to have that cash in a mix of notes. There are 5 types of notes in common circulation in Singapore: the $2, $5, $10, $50, and $100. $10 notes are the most useful to carry around, though it is a good idea to keep a $50 note handy if you have to pay cash for something more expensive. I recommend tourists avoid carrying $100 notes because they are difficult to use. Taxi drivers in particular will not be happy if you give them a $100 note. It is difficult for them to give you change. If you find you're building up a large pile of coins, spending them at a hawker center can be a great option. Hawkers are more than happy to receive coins and will help you count out the best options to give them if you're looking a little confused. My next tips then are my back-of-hand methods for figuring out the exchange rates in Singapore. If you're coming from the US, take 1/3 off the number of the price, and this will give you the rough conversion for US dollars. For Australians, you need to add 10%, though I remember the days when it was the other way around. And to get the equivalent in euro, add 50%. For British pounds, add 2/3, and Malaysian ringgit is very easy because you multiply by 3. Indonesian rupiah is also very convenient because it's about 10,000 per dollar. Now, these are very rough overall estimates and not the exact exchange rates. Do check them when you visit. Singapore is an expensive city, so if you're looking to save money on your visit, hit that subscribe button as I'll be releasing a video soon on money-saving tips for visitors to Singapore. In its move to be cashless though, it is much easier to catch the bus or train in Singapore if you're using a credit or debit card. Credit and debit cards are my preferred ticketing method for catching a train or bus in Singapore. Simply touch your card to the reader as you enter the train station or get on the bus and touch off at the other end. Fares are calculated automatically based on the distance traveled. Fare will typically cost you between $1 to $2 per journey, and you will never pay more than $2.26 for a single journey in Singapore. Foreign cards do work as train or bus tickets in Singapore as long as it's a Visa or MasterCard. Bank might charge you a foreign currency conversion fee. Personally, I'd rather pay this than have to worry about getting a prepaid ticket. The prepaid ticket in Singapore is called EasyLink, and it's what I recommend getting if you don't have a credit card. An EasyLink card can be purchased when you arrive at the airport, train stations, or major bus interchanges. It costs $10 and comes with $5 of credit. Now, this is enough for about 2 to 3 trips on a bus or a train. You can buy an EasyLink card from a convenience store like 7-Eleven or Cheers, but they're allowed to charge a little bit more for a card that only comes with $5 credit. Topping up your card though is best done at train station. It is possible to pay cash for a bus ride in Singapore, but it's made very difficult by having to give the exact change to your driver, and this means knowing how far you want to go. It's also more expensive than the same journey paid using EasyLink or credit card. If you're interested in more tips about how to affordably travel around Singapore, check out this video next.